Okay, we're going to look at chapter 6. Before we do that, let's think about what happened in, we were at chapter 5, right? Yeah. In chapter 5, remember what happened? Marty and David go spy on Judd. They watch him kill a squirrel. And they almost get caught. They almost got caught. So, because when he went to shoot the other squirrel, Marty was like, no, don't. So that's when you realize what a terrible idea it was to go and try spy on Judd, especially a guy who likes guns and who drinks too much. And plus, you should just never be creeping around on someone's property anyway. That's a great way to get into trouble. So, all right. He's also worried that Judd hunts in deer season, and then there's squirrel season, there's duck season, there's deer season, and Marty's worried there's going to be a Shiloh season, meaning he's worried that Judd might get his gun and go out looking for Shiloh because he's so mad and drunk all the time. So let's read chapter 6 and see what happens. I don't sleep so good that night. Neither does David Howard. When David comes over to spend the night, Ma opens up our couch to make a double bed, but it's got this bar down the middle inside the mattress, and every so often you hit it with your knee. Shiloh, though, he sure likes to sleep down at the bottom of that bed. When you wake up in the night, but your foot's still sleeping, you know you got a dog on it. That's why. Both David and me wake early and lie there talking while the house is still. You think we should tell? David asks me. About the squirrel, I say. He thinks that's bad. He should know what I know about Judd Travers. He nods. You could, but it wouldn't do one bit of good. You ever hear of somebody getting fined for shooting a squirrel out of season? When you could walk from here to Friendly and find half a dozen dead on the road? It's a whole different thing killing a squirrel or killing a deer. You can shoot only a few deer a year in West Virginia. During squirrel season, you can shoot 6 a day. Don't make it any more legal or make it any more right to shoot a squirrel out of season. Just that the game warden isn't going to drive all the way up here because of a squirrel. Jamie's showing up. I guess it wasn't the fact that Judd killed a squirrel so much as the way he killed it. That's what made us sick. His plain delight in watching it flop about his yard while it's dying. What kind of kid was Judd Travers when he was growing up, I wonder? What kind of boy was he when he was 15? I'm puzzling over what his ma and dad were like, bringing up a son who could sit there and smile over a small creature's misery. Well, we already have an idea of what his dad's like, right? We learned that in the last book. His dad wasn't a very kind guy. He used to beat him, so we know that. We must look pretty tired at breakfast, because Ma says, were you boys up half the night playing games? You don't look very hungry to me. I don't see that bacon going anywhere. David and I both reach for a piece of bacon just to show her we're awake and hungry, but we're not. Ma's biscuits are good, though. I show David how to mix a spoonful of honey with a spoonful of margarine and stir it up till it turns creamy, and then spread that on a hot biscuit. We play on the bag swing till David's dad comes to pick him up. Darylyn gets up finally and watches us out the window. But our yelling don't wake Becky. She could sleep with a full brass band by her bed. The Howards go to the Methodist church, and David's got to go home and change clothes first. See you at school Monday, David says as he gets in the car beside his dad. How you doing, Marty? You guys have fun? Mr. Howard calls. Yeah, we both tell him. We did too, but watching a squirrel die before our eyes wasn't part of it. We like Sundays at our house 'cause they're slow. Dad's home all day, and he'll sit out on the porch swing reading the comics aloud to Darylyn and Becky, takes all the different voices and makes us laugh. Ma usually listens to Brother Jonas preach on TV, but now she's out in the kitchen making bread. She says that next to her children, she loves baking bread on Sundays about as much as anything she can think of. She don't say so, but she loves Dad more than she loves baking bread too. And this morning, after I listen to Dad read the comics, I go back in the kitchen where she's shaping the loaves and she's singing one of her country songs she likes so much. If I could have 3 wishes, I'd spend them all on you: to love me when I'm lonely, to cheer me when I'm blue, to laugh with when I'm happy because I know you're true. If I could have 3 wishes, love, I'd spend them all on you. Yeah, all that lovey-dovey stuff. I know it's not me she's singing about. I just smile and Ma smiles back. I spread out my homework on the table across from her and do my arithmetic problems, trying not to let on that I'm worried. Got to multiply, got to divide. We've got to multiply decimals and divide by decimals. You guys got that to look forward to in 6th grade. That'll be nice and hard for you.
I'm already doing that.
I wonder if there is ever a time in my whole life that I will have 3,998 or something and have to divide it by 7.5. I ask my mom. Even if you don't, Marty, she says, arithmetic helps you think. It helps you learn to solve problems. I'm thinking arithmetic can't help me solve the kind of problems we've got with Judge Travers. If that was true, I'd stay up to midnight every night just studying that arithmetic book. The true fact is, I'm wondering if maybe some of Judd's drinking is because of me. The 2 weeks I'd worked for him during the summer, I got to know him some. And after a while, we'd talk about his dogs and stuff. So then on the last day, I felt Judd was a little sorry to see me go. Sorry he wouldn't come home from work afternoons and find someone there he could talk to. I'd figured to go back now and then to visit him, maybe even take Shiloh, but I could never get my dog to set foot over that bridge again. And since I wasn't all that eager to see Judd myself, a good idea just sort of washed away. After we ate Sunday dinner, though, which at our house is about 1 in the afternoon, Dad lays down for a nap. Darylyn's got her paper dolls out on the swing. Becky's in bed, and Ma's got her feet up reading a magazine. So I set out for Judd Travers's. I mean to come right out and tell him that, yes, I was over there the night before, so he won't think I'm sneaking around. Is this a good idea? I don't think his dad would want him going over there neither.
Mr. Jensen?
Yep.
I hope Mark doesn't go.
Okay.
Wait.
This time Judd's working on his truck. He's got the hood up and he's changing the oil. Don't seem like he's been drinking today. Leastwise, he's not drunk yet. Hi, Judd, I say. Judd looks up and goes on tinkering under the hood of his truck. What you up to? He asks me. Nothing, just fooling around the creek, I tell him. You taking good care of my dog? He says. Those are the very next words out of his mouth. What I don't like are the words, my dog. Shiloh's doing fine, I tell him. Thought maybe you'd bring him by one of these days, Judd says. How come he ain't with you now? See, okay, I'm noticing Judd seems like he can be kind of friendly, right? You could tell that he wished that Marty would come visit sometimes, and so starting to see a part of Judd here that we don't see before. How do you tell a man that your dog hates him more than bee stings? He's home playing with Becky and Darylyn, I say. They're fixing to spoil him. Judd just grunts. You don't take a dog hunting, he'll lose his touch. Dad will probably take Shiloh with him when he starts hunting next month, I say. Hunting season hasn't started yet, Judd. Only thing you can shoot in West Virginia this time of year is dove. There's a sly grin pulling back the corner of Judd's mouth. That a fact, he says, and spits again as he wipes his hands on a rag. What I'm trying not to look at is the remains of that squirrel. Pieces of a squirrel all over Judd's yard. Looks to me like he got up this morning and threw that squirrel carcass to his dogs. Can just imagine those lean, mean dogs snapping and snarling at one another, eager to get a little blood on their muzzles. I swallow. Listen, Judd, I came to tell you something. Yeah, he says. David and me, we was over to my house. He was over at my house last night, and we were playing spy. That was us you heard in your yard. It's good to be honest with the person, right? Good to come clean. Think Judd's going to be understanding?
Maybe.
Think Judd's going to be like, oh, well, all right, well, just better not do that, okay? It's kind of, you got to be careful. I don't know.
Nope.
That's not normally how Judd acts, so let's see. This time Judd raises up real slow. So how come you didn't answer? We were scared because you had that gun. For a moment, Judd don't quite know what to say. This amount of truthfulness is almost too much for him to handle. What I haven't counted on, though, is making Judd mad. His eyes get all squinty, and the brows come together over the bridge of his nose. You expect me to believe that? You come all the way over here to play spy? You weren't playing, boy. You were spying. It wouldn't surprise me one bit if your dad put you up to it. He didn't. He didn't even know we were here. But we shouldn't have been in your yard, and he never even lets me finish. Judd's hollering now. You and that boy come over here once, you've been here more than that. And any two boys come sneaking around my house, won't even answer, got something on their minds besides play. I'm no fool. It was you or that boy, or maybe the both of you, who scratched up my truck. I'm willing to bet. And I catch you over here again, I just may pull that trigger. A man's got a right to protect his property. Judd, go on out. Go on home. You hear me? Okay, this didn't go well. Judd's standing there with a wrench in his hand. His face has gone from plain ugly to pure ugly. Not a spark of kindness in those eyes at all. When I don't move, he yells, "Get!" and takes a step forward. And that's when I turn and head for home. Whew. Scary. Oh boy, I've done it now. I kick at a rock just about as hard as I can kick and send it flying into Middle Island Creek. I tell the truth, and look what happens. Can't believe Judd would really put a bullet in me if he sees me over his way again, but I'm thinking he could put a bullet in the living thing I love almost more than anything else in the world. I sure can't go on like this, that much I know. Dad's working outside when I get home getting ready to mow. I stand over him as he pours gasoline in the mower. Something on your mind, he asks. I wonder if Judd's drinking on account of me, I say, trying to edge in easy on the subject. Dad won't like to hear that David and me were over at Judd's last night any more than Judd did. Dad looks at me and screws the lid back on the gasoline can, then straightens up. Now, what put that idea in your head? I was thinking how after I got Shiloh and worked for Judd, I never went back anymore. I think Judd sort of got used to me being around. Somebody for him to talk to. Probably so, but I don't think a man starts drinking because an 11-year-old boy don't show up. Judd's got problems that don't have anything to do with you, Marty. He sure wouldn't get no prize for getting along with people. But he says those things about Shiloh, about me taking his dog and all. Judd'll jaw on about anything you give him a chance. You know that. You know and I know, and he knows that you earned that dog. Why do you keep worrying about it? I'm afraid he'll get drunk sometime and shoot Shiloh. Well, I'm worried he'll get drunk and go hunting up in our woods with his rifle, and a stray bullet will hit one of you kids, Dad says. You want to worry about something real, take that one. But after all I did to protect Shiloh, the way that dog come to me, I just couldn't stand it if anything was to happen to him now, I say. I follow Dad as he pushes the mower over to a corner of our yard. Couldn't we, invite Judd to dinner or something? Make like we're really friends? Marty's crazy. Dad's looking question marks at me. Marty, no more than 2 months ago, you were hating Judd Travers worse than a rattlesnake, and now you want to invite him home? Just to keep on his good side. I'm thinking maybe now is the time I should tell Dad I was over at Judd's, but there's something about him that stops me. Dad rests his hands on the handle of the mower and takes in a big breath. Okay, remember we talked about how the conversation with Judd didn't go so well between his dad and Judd. Now we're going to find out really how it went. All right. Dad rests his hands on the handle of the mower and takes a big deep breath. Fact is, he says, not looking directly at me, when I was up to see Judd last week, I lost my temper. I'm not proud of it, but it happened. I showed him the beer can and reminded him our woods and fields are posted, and all he did was cuss me out. I'm staring. He cussed you? Said I was a sorry kind of neighbor to keep my land all to myself to hunt on. Said if he had known what a miserly skunk I was, he'd never have let you have that dog at all. In fact, he says that because he did give him to you, he could hunt wherever he pleased. That was part of the bargain. That's not true, I yell, my face hot. I know it isn't, Marty. Judd was drunk as a coot when he said that. And I should have come home and gone back again when he was sober. But I got a temper too when I'm riled. I told him if I ever find him hunting on my land, I'm calling the sheriff. That's why I don't want him at our table right now. I'm not asking him to stay off my land. I'm telling him. And I don't want him to think I'm backing down. I decided not to say anything just then about playing spy. So we can see that Dad's conversation with Judd not only did it go bad, because he said earlier that Judd really wasn't himself. You know, he was drunk and talking all kinds of crazy. But now it comes out that not only was Judd yelling, well, Marty's dad lost his temper too, and he started yelling at Judd. So he's like, you stay off my property, Judd. I'll call the sheriff on you. Like, I'm not asking, I'm telling you. And so that's why I said I don't want to invite him to dinner or anything right now, because they're kind of they're really not friendly right now. Dad's like, I don't want Judd around him. He's staying off my land. So it's kind of bad between Judd and his dad. It's kind of bad between Judd and everybody, it seems like, but kind of surprising that Dad lost his temper. You know what it means to lose your temper, right? It's when you get really, really angry more than you should. So it's really, if you want to get something solved, losing your temper is really never helpful. It never helps with anything. So, but Dad lost his temper, so that probably made it a little bit worse with Judd. Like he said, he probably should have just left and came back and talked to Judd when he wasn't drunk. So,
Mr. Jensen, we're the only ones with our videos on.
Not important. So,
and it's okay if I could have a 7-minute break.
Again, I'm trying to do something here, Christian. Come on, man. Stop interrupting. Can I have a break? Can I do this? Can I do that? We are talking about Shiloh right now. I want you to look here. Let's talk about Marty's mom for a second. This is interesting about her. Let's think about some of Mom's personality traits. It says, this is talking about how Sundays are kind of slow days where people they just kind of hang out. It says, Ma usually listens to Brother Jonas preach on TV, but now she's out in the kitchen making bread. She says that next to her children, she loves baking bread on Sundays about as much as anything she can think of. Think about that. If someone was to ask Marty's mom, what do you really love most in this world? Of course, she'd say her kids, but then she would say, baking bread on Sundays. Now, think about that. If someone ever asked you, what do you love more than anything in the world? I'm sure people would have some interesting answers. But Marty's mom is like, I like baking bread on Sunday. Basically, sounds to me like Mom is pretty simple. Like if Mom had the chance to have all kinds of money and live in a big fancy house, you know, maybe have lots of cars, she probably wouldn't care that much, right? She's just happy with her family and doing things that she enjoys doing. So I think a lot of people, when they don't have a lot of money like that, they learn to appreciate what they have. And I think that might be a theme here in this book, the idea of appreciating what you have. And all the stuff in the world can't necessarily make you happy, right? So important thing to remember. Yes, Christian.
question for the class. Can you guys turn your videos on? It's like
Hey, I'm about to throw you out of the meeting, Christian, because once again, that's 3 times now, Christian, that you've just kind of taken us off track. And I don't appreciate it. No, don't talk. Don't speak. You don't have permission to talk right now because you keep getting off track, wanting to talk about other things, whose video is on, all that stuff. It's not important. Stay on track. All right. So I'm going to stop this recording for the girls and post it.